Bishop David Oginde called for a de-escalation of political rhetoric, especially with the reggae and the hustler narratives, calling for a sober discourse. Bishop Oginde now joins me live on News Desk. Bishop, many thanks for your time. The handshake was a ceasefire after the hotly contested 2017 elections. It was, however, followed by a rift between the president and the deputy president, with observers calling for yet another handshake. Is the constitution and amending it the real problems that faces Kenya as we speak, Bishop?
Interesting question. I think yes and no. Yes, in the sense that the structure of the Constitution as given provides room for disagreements, for misunderstanding, for people feeling a sense of not being properly represented. And so that, in a sense, gives that room for contention. So we can say, yes, the Constitution could be a problem or contributes to the problem. On the other hand, it is not, because the problem that we face in this country is more of a political contest by various individuals who feel that they are the only ones. And so you find that every election season, we have people grouping up together, cobbling tribal groupings to go against the other grouping. So I do not think that amending the Constitution may necessarily completely resolve the problem if we do not change our attitude towards leadership of the country. So my answer is yes and no.
One of the most sober voices calling for unity in the wake of the discourse surrounding the BBI report. And you said, let me just quote that, perhaps it is time for hustlers to pause their hustling for a moment, the reggae dancers pause their dance for a moment, and have the country join together in a serious Jerusalem dance for the peace and unity of the country. Speak to us about the political confrontations that we have seen, trying to really divide and rule as conversations surrounding the BBI report continues.
Yes, I think, as I've already said, that is the challenge we are facing. It appears to us, at least to me, that the trick that the politicians seem to have found is to divide Kenyans. So they will look for any loophole to divide us in groupings so that one group goes on the other side and another group goes the other side. Each person trying to get the largest group on their side. Mm-hmm. And having identified those groups, then begins to incite us against one another. Mm-hmm. And I think this is where we as Kenyans must be sober enough to refuse to be grouped into these categories that then cause us to fight one another. And as somebody said during the launch of the BBI, once we are left fighting, then they continue with their lives. I think that was Baba Pendo or Mama Pendo who said that. Mm-hmm. They were left mourning for their baby that was dead, but the political class is continuing with their lives. Mm-hmm. So you find that really it is up to us Kenyans to be sober. Unfortunately, that is something that has been said over and over again, but mm-hmm. nobody seems to be listening. Mm-hmm. So every electoral season comes, and we allow ourselves to be grouped and pitted against one another. It is a very unfortunate thing.
We've had calls to have this become an inclusive conversation, an issue of political inclusivity, economic inclusivity as well. But we seem to find ourselves with a law that cannot satisfy the desire of the political class, and also one that does not address the issues, our national needs and aspirations as well. But from where you stand as a religious leader, have serious issues for you touching on the church, on marriage and the family unit being addressed in this BBI report?
This is something that we are looking at. Our initial, just quick browsing through the document, we realized that some of the issues that we have raised in the past, all the way from the referendum of 2005 or 2010, have not been considered. And it gives us the impression that the church doesn't seem to be taken as a serious stakeholder in this whole constitution review process. And this is something that is truly concerning us. We are meeting as a church and reviewing the whole position and trying to see why is it that our issues are never taken seriously, and what then should we say? I know that there have been indicators that some of the issues we raised could still be considered. That would be great if that is done, and would be happy if those issues are taken care of in this particular process. But we will not just stand by as different interest groups are taken care of, yet the church, which is a majority in this country, is not considered.
You also on Monday also alluded to the dangerous trend in the country of politicizing pretty much everything, and we see a lot of politicization of this BBI report as well. The discourse that has followed the unveiling of the report on Monday seems to follow the same course. What would your advice to Kenyans be at this time?
That is exactly why I talked about the dance. You know, I was using an analogy. As you know, the Jerusalem dance has become a worldwide motivator or catalyst for people breaking boundaries and joining in as kind of celebration. Of course, during this COVID season, many people have been caught up in a very depressive situation, but it has lightened the moment for many, many groups. So I was using it as an analogy that let's leave these groupings that we have created. On the one hand, we have the hustler nation that is trying to bring us under or categorize us under hustlers versus the others. Then we have the reggae dancers who are saying reggae will not be stopped. We are moving whether you like it or not. That kind of language can only lead us to conflict. It cannot lead us to peace. The moment you group us into those categories, we will then begin to see each other only in that light. Then the whole constitution-making process gets lost. You remember in 2005, the bananas and oranges, really the constitution-making process got lost there because now it was grouped into the LDP versus PNU. So if you are orange, you are LDP. If you are bananas, you are PNU. And so the issues contained within the document that we were voting for got lost. People basically were voting either for Raila or for Kibaki. That is what happened in 2005. In 2010, it was the only time when the politicians actually grouped themselves because now they found a common ground within the constitution to push their agenda. And it was the time when now the church stood against the rest of the political divide. So it is unfortunate when these kinds of things happen, we lose the very essence of what we are making laws for. So we look at the current situation, we look at the current issues and make laws, because constitution is not made for a moment. For constitution is a long-term document. That's why it is made so difficult to amend. So when you pass laws that are going to stay with us for a very long time, but based on partisan politics of the moment, then you lay a wrong foundation for the nation. So we must be sober enough to look at these laws very, very soberly and ask ourselves, would this help build the right foundation for the country? Will this be a document that can carry us through for another 50 years? The American Constitution has been there for 200 years with very little amendment. Can we build a document of similar nature that is based on sound principles, sound values, and will serve the nation for 50, 100 years? Even just 20, Ours has not even finished 10. We are ready to change it. So I think this is the sobriety that we as Kenyans really need to come back to. We need to soberly look at the document and what it provides. As I said, political formations will change, and they keep changing every election time. So if the people who are fighting the Jubilee at the time are now supporting the Jubilee Uhuru side, Ruto now finds himself outside the system, and now they are the ones who are opposing the everything. How comes that when these political formations happen, then all those supporters of a particular position all see things in the same way? How comes that right now the Uhuru wing and Raila wing of politics all think BBI is a great thing?
Right.
How comes that the Ruto side of things think that BBI is a terrible thing? It tells you that they are only seeing politics. They are not looking at the document objectively. And this is something that we need to move away from.
Bishop, many thanks for your time. There is Bishop David Oginde there giving us his views on the BBI report. As a religious leader, they're saying issues on church, marriage and family have not been adequately addressed in that report. Many thanks for your time, Bishop. Now, a group of youth under the banner Youth for